Welcome to the judge orientation for the National Invention Convention and Entrepreneurship Expo. My name is Bill Kenny, and I'll be guiding you through this today. This segment will take us about 15 to 20 minutes. We'll have additional orientation and training that will take place on Saturday after you all check in. And so this is really just to get the process started, to help you understand a little bit about what's going to happen. And again, we'll have some additional information that will add to your understanding when we see you on Saturday. So let's hop into it here. The mission of the National Invention Convention and Entrepreneurship Expo is to provide students with opportunities to develop creative problem-solving and problem identification techniques through inventing, innovating, and entrepreneurial activities, leading to greater consideration of STEM careers in high school and college. And so it's this context that helps really underscore what we're trying to accomplish, not only by judging, but by the event itself. So that you have a sense of timing, we actually have a couple of different types of judging that will happen over the next few days. So on June 3rd, which is Saturday, we're going to have what are called judging circles. And this is sort of the core judging event at the National Invention Convention. And the judging that's done in the judging circles is 75% of each inventor's score for their overall score. We'll then have special awards that have other judging times. So the special awards will be judged not only on Saturday, but they'll also be judged on Friday evening. So on Friday evening, they'll be judged from somewhere between 5 and 7:30, depending on people's availability. And we're pretty flexible on when people get started, but it's probably about 30 minutes. There are all sorts of different categories, but ultimately some of them will be judged on Friday evening, those that don't need the inventors to be involved. And then on Saturday, we'll also have the last of those awards will be judged, and those will be the ones that need the inventors available for any questions that the judges might have. So if many of you have already sent me an email that you're available on Friday, if you are available on Friday, please just let me know. And again, we're flexible. Really, if you have availability, I would say anytime between 5 and 7:30 on Friday, it would be great to know that you're available, and we'll get you set up to judge some of these specialty awards. And then again, on Saturday, after the judging circles are done, we'll have a very quick review by judges of any of these last finalists, again, who we want to have available for any questions the judges may have. If you're available for just a little bit longer, say till 12:30 on Saturday, we could use your help in helping us make some decisions on these special awards as well. So again, just via email, let me know your availability. That would be great. And on Saturday, the sort of core judging will take place from 10 to 11:45. We're going to ask you to check in at 7:45. Somewhere between there and 8:15. At 8:15, we're going to start a formal judge orientation, and it's important that you're there for that. That will actually give you the logins for the software. There's all sorts of additional details beyond what we're going to talk about today that will help you not only understand what to do, but also perform well as a judge and make sure that our competition is fair. So again, if you could check in between 7:45 and 8:15, we'll have a nice continental breakfast for you, some coffee. We'll do an orientation starting at 8:15. Between 9 and 10, there's actually the opening ceremonies, which you'll enjoy being a part of. You'll actually be recognized as a judge there. And then from 10 to 11:45, we'll have the judging circles. And then again, any of the special award judging that hasn't already happened will happen just after that, and we'll be wrapped up with all the judging by 12:30. So we should be good to go, and So this gives you a quick sense of our schedule. So I've mentioned now judging circles a couple of times, and they're actually not circles, as you can see here. They're more like rectangles or squares, but ultimately it is it's a U shape that allows the inventors to stand in this sort of U shape or to be positioned in this U shape so that they can easily see each other, give their pitches, and also so that they can give their pitches in view of all of their peers very easily. So this technique has worked very well, and it gives the judges easy access to manage the process. So each inventor, or each invention, I should say, will get 4 minutes to pitch and 5 minutes for questions and answers, and there should be at least a 1-minute transition between inventor. So the idea here is that each inventor period or each invention period should be 10 minutes. So if you go a little bit long on the pitch, you need to go short on the Q&A. If you go a little short on the pitch, you've got a little more time for Q&A and transition. And it is important to have that transition time. The judges will need just a few moments to record their scores, and of course the next inventor will need a moment to set up. We will sort of appoint someone as a lead judge in each judging circle, and there are really just a couple of responsibilities. And the lead judge really is just a facilitator. They don't get it, their votes don't count anymore. It's really just a role that helps assure that the judging is done fairly. And the biggest place where judging becomes not fair is if some of the inventors or some of the inventions get longer periods. And this is really the hardest thing to manage as a lead judge, and it's important, if you are a lead judge, that you make sure that and it's really important to start from the beginning in just allowing 10-minute periods. And so that means making sure that each pitch is not longer than 4 minutes, and some will be significantly shorter, but some will test you, and particularly those that are in teams. And the majority of the inventions will have sole inventors, but there will be some inventions that have teams of up to 4 students. And this is probably where it's most likely that it'll test your ability to manage and keep the pitches within 4 minutes. So again, let everybody know up front. And one of the easiest techniques is to invite people to help you thank the presenters at 4 minutes if they do test that limit by beginning to clap. And you'll start because you're keeping time, and then just ask everybody else to support you and clap with you to thank the inventor for their time. You have to be careful not to be too loud in your judging circle, because obviously we're gonna have 31 judging circles, all in a fairly tight space. So the louder one is, the more challenging it is for the others to hear the students and inventors that are speaking. So the lead judge should start the judging circle, as everybody assembles, by giving a brief orientation in terms of how the judging circle process will go. And from there, it's really a matter of getting the first person to go. So we're going to have, in the online ballot, we're going to have a certain order to the pitches. You don't need to follow that order. If you don't follow that order, of course, you're going to need to make sure that everybody knows who's standing up and who's giving their pitch, so that it's easy for the judges to record the scores appropriately. And then, of course, besides keeping time and keeping on schedule and doing the orientation, we want to make sure that the lead judge facilitates the transitions between and gives the peer judges time to record scores. And then we want to certainly make sure we thank each inventor and the inventor in the group as a whole when the judging circle is over. There may be in your circle 1 or 2 inventors that we ask to stay in their circle after the judging is done, and so we'll inform you of who they are so that they stay. And again, there'll be sort of post judging that essentially helps us figure out who the winners are in the specialty award categories. The last thing to mention on this is that these judging circles are certainly for the judges, but really the key individuals in these judging circles are the peers, the peer inventors. And so this is one thing that the lead judge can do, is to really work hard to get the young inventors asking each other questions, giving each other support, and sharing ideas. Again, we have a very limited amount of time. You're probably going to have no more than 5 minutes for Q&A, assuming you've been able to hold to a 4-minute pitch. And so you want to really make sure that you get these young inventors involved and talking to each other and asking each other questions and giving each other support. And then, of course, your questions are also important to answer. And but it's intended to be sort of as much peer as judge feedback and also questions and answers. So we're going to talk about the criteria. So the context for the criteria is the goal of the judging, and the way the criteria should be interpreted is that we're seeking to identify the best independently achieved invention and invention process. So again, we want to find the inventions that that the parents had little influence in, other than encouragement, but it wasn't mom or dad's project that the child essentially delivered. It is the child's idea. It's the child, other than maybe getting help with certain tools or whatnot, something that the child executed by and large on their own, and understand the process that they went through. So as we ask questions, those are really good questions to identify, how did you come up with this idea? Where were you when it happened, and those types of things, and really try to understand how they got there. So there are 4 criteria, the first of which is process. And so process has 4 components, and I'll share these criteria with you. But the 4 components are: what did they do for problem identification? How did they create the solution? What was their reasoning? And then, what is the current solution, and what does the market look like for that solution? The second criteria is the solution itself. And so what was the justification for creating this particular solution? What does the prototype look like? And then, is it protectable? Is it something where there is protectable intellectual property? The third criteria is impact. And so market size, societal benefit, and then environmental impact, all are sort of key. And again, environmental impact, if it's applicable, it won't be in each case, but it may be in some. And then finally, number 4 is presentation. How are their verbal skills? Did they speak loud enough and clear enough? What were the visuals like, both their nonverbals as well as their prototype or their poster or any of those items? How did they do it answering questions? And then finally, if there was a team, was every team member involved, and how did they do? So those are the 4 criteria. And again, we're looking to find the invention that was best independently achieved and the best invention process. And that's the way those criteria should be applied. Okay, well, let's transition to scoring. So we use the Likert scale, which is the 1 to 5 scale. And one of the reasons we do that is that it's very easy to identify the middle. And so we want to, as we score, we want to use that. And in fact, I'll reveal here the comment. So one of the easiest ways to normalize the scores, and this is the challenge when any of us are scoring, is without reference points, our scores tend to skew. And so if we because we're using the Likert scale, the number 3 on that scale is the average. And so if we start with every new invention as a 3 in every one of the 4 criteria, and then as we're actually judging, after we've heard the pitch, then we're going to increase the score for those, either by 1 or 2 points for those that were above the average, and we'll reduce it 1 to 2 for those that were below. This does 2 things. Number 1 is it helps us stay consistent ourselves, and it also reduces the tendency where there are judges that will not give a top score. In other words, they won't give a 5, and there are others that won't give a 1. But if we're thinking of it from, everybody starts, with a sort of a clean slate at all straight 3s, and then we're promoting those that are above average, either 1 or 2 places, and we're demoting those that are below average, 1 or 2 points, then it's much easier not only to stay consistent, but to use the whole range of scores, which is really the idea here, so that we give as much granular sort of focus. And ultimately, the ballot you turn in, the scores are less important than the rank. I mean, we want to stay fairly consistent on scores because ultimately your ballot's going to be rolled up into all the ballots in the competition, in the event, for some of the awards. So we want to stay somewhat consistent, but most important is that the ranking that you submit for the pitches that you saw, or that the inventions that you saw, resembles the ranking that you see. And so the best way to do that is to normalize these scores is to begin with the score of 3, and then again plus 1 or 2 for the above average inventions and performances, and -2, -1 for the below average. So again, just a couple of reminders is we're going to focus on peer review, and by inviting the other inventors to ask questions or to make comment of their peers. Certainly we want to get in judge questions. Comments, whether verbally given or in writing in the scorecard, should be lovingly critical. And I think the key here is that we want to be thoughtful, we want to be positive, but we also want to be constructive in terms of what we offer. Those comments are definitely valued. And again, we want to keep this fair by staying on schedule. The tendency is the first couple of people that go often get more time. We really implore all the judges, and particularly the lead judges, to control time. And if you do it right out of the gate, it's much easier to continue to control time through. So, stay to 4 minutes, and in terms of the pitches, and stay to no more than 5 minutes in the Q&A, and you'll do great. And it'll be a fair situation. But the moment it starts creeping more than that, you're really going to have a hard time sustaining it. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is the last few people to go have a fair amount less time than their peers, and that's just not fair. So again, let's keep the timing right on from the start, and we'll be good to go. So I'm going to hop over to the software that we're using for the competition. And we use this software called Pitch Wizard, and this is where you'll be recording your scores. We invite you to use this in the judging circles and just to record your scores straight into this. Some of you will be more comfortable recording on paper and then entering into Pitch Wizard after the judging circle is concluded. That's fine too. I'll have paper ballots available for you. But again, you can log onto this from your smartphone, or you can log into it if you have a tablet. It'll probably be more difficult to use a laptop, but certainly a tablet or a smartphone works well. We will have Wi-Fi available. Of course, with cell phones, you should be able to use your data plan, and this certainly won't be a problem from a standpoint of using your data or significant amounts of data. We're not going to be in the tool for that long. So we're going to give you special credentials when you get there to judge, and whether you're judging in a judging circle or any of the specialty awards, each of those will have its own unique login to get into those those unique ballots. So I'm just going to log in. This is actually a test site, so I'm going to just log in with some credentials. And so I'm now logged in, and the very simple navigation to the ballot. All I'm going to do is this left menu here. I'm just going to go down to the judging link on this left menu and click on that. And that's really the only navigation I need to do. I am now in the ballot, and I'm just going to scroll down here, and you'll see I've already scored the top two. And I'm just going to go in to the third one here to add my score. And this is actually, for those that were judging the online judging, this will look familiar because we have a video link in here. But the day of judging, we won't have that. Just so it's an easy reminder, before the pitch even starts, I'm going to go through and just score every one of the 4 criteria. And these criteria should look familiar. This is what we just went through. I'm going to score each of them a 3, and then I'm going to listen to the pitch. I'm going to listen to the Q&A that's happening, and then I'm going to go through and I'm going to make my scores. And so they each one of these has certain scores that we'll record, and maybe we've got a 1 in here as well. But the point really being is that I'm going to put in my scores based on what I heard, and again, using 3 as my bellwether for what the middle is. And so from there, it's really just a matter of entering my scores. We can re-enter this particular invention ballot later and make any adjustments as well. So until you finish, you can edit your scores. It's even though we've hit save, we can go back in and edit. So then we can put in a comment, and we can even say nice prototype, and that'll be it. I'm just going to go down and hit save, and I'll show you that so you'll see my score has been recorded. I'm going to go back into this first one, and I'm going to bring this 2 back up to a 3, and I'm actually going to bump solution up to a 5, based on what I've seen. This particular one was really outstanding, and then I'll hit save. And so that now has a new score, and easy enough. And so depending on your ballot, you'll see anywhere from, I think we have 1 judging circle that's only 3, and that's just the kindergarten through 2-year-olds. And there are only 3 of them in Washington because we limited the number to just finalists there. But the other judging circles will have between 7 or 8, and then I think as many as 12. So in any event, you'll be listening to that many pitches, and then you'll obviously be making scoring each invention based on what you saw. And that's really all you're judging them on, is what they're presenting that day. You're not presenting them on anything else. Once you've entered your scores, whether you do it real time or you do it after the pitches are all done and the judging circle is done, it's up to you, but it's just as simple as this. And once you've entered them, you're done. You're done with this ballot, and you can log out. And if you're going to be judging some of the specialty awards, you'd log back in with those other credentials. So I'm going to go back to my slides now. And let's see, I think the only other slide here is related to questions. So let's just scroll down to that. Certainly, you may have questions that go beyond what we've talked about here today. We will do more orientation on Saturday. It will answer additional questions. If it's something you feel can't wait until Friday or Saturday, please just email me, and I'll put my email on, and let's put it up on the big screen here. So if you can join us on Friday or around 5 or 5:30, 6 o'clock, something like that, please email me so that I know and we can get you assigned to a specific specialty award. And we certainly would appreciate that help. We appreciate your help in any regard. And I know the student inventors will gain a lot from your wisdom, and the program will be so much better for it. But again, feel free to give me a call. I'm actually heading to Washington on Wednesday afternoon, so I will be in transit at least part of Wednesday. But feel free to reach out, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Should you not reach out, I will see you either on Friday or certainly on Saturday. And again, Saturday you'll want to be there no later than 8:15, and ideally a little bit before that, so we get you checked in as we'll start that orientation promptly at 8:15. And this is a pretty tightly timed event where we need to have it so because there's just so many moving parts. So we appreciate you being on time, and it really means a lot to us to have you involved. So with that, I will thank you, and we'll see you all really soon. Bye for now.